All right, welcome to this episode. And if you're a Greenback fan and have watched Greenback football anytime over the past, 30 years, you're going to know these two guests that we got in the studio today. It was all the way back in 1968. JoJo Reynolds set the rushing record for Pratt High School, and it would be 26 years until Coby Tresner would come along and put up 3,124 yards and become the all-time leading rusher. And then 24 years later, 2015, Travis Theis puts on the jersey and amasses 6,744 yards to become the all-time leading rusher. And we've got them both with us today. So, gentlemen, Travis, Coby, appreciate you guys coming in. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah,
we were just
excited.
talking a little bit
We're
before,
excited.
and
I can't believe. So that's almost double my number.
I know.
Oh,
Now, I think he
didn't
got
pay
another
attention to
extra
it.
season, and that's something we'll get to. When we played in that 90s era, freshmen didn't play varsity sports. I mean, that was a whole separate season. Not to take anything away from those numbers is crazy when you look at the numbers that he put up. And looking at these numbers, you put up 6,700 plus 3,100. I was thinking, what am I going to title this episode? And I think when I put the picture of the three of us up, I'm going to say these three Greenbacks rushed for 10,000 yards. I think I had a couple hundred to get us over the 10,000 mark.
We'll stat check that.
No, it's going to be fun. I appreciate you guys coming in. Coby, I saw you a couple months ago over in Wichita and kind of threw the idea at you and said, hey, would you be interested in doing a podcast? And you were pretty eager to come over and do it, or at least that's the way I took it, that you were receptive to it. So, man, I appreciate you making the trip over here, being in person and travel. We've talked about it for a while, sitting down and doing something in between your busy schedule, and we caught you here before you got to head back up for the second season of the CFL. And so let's talk some Greenback football. You were just asking before we started, you kind of asked a question. I said, hold that. Let's actually get this episode started before we dive into that, because it was a good question. You asked kind of when people around here knew, or what was it you asked me?
Yeah, so you had said that people noticed Travis coming up. At what point did people start to notice that he was going to be talented, a talented football player in high school?
Man, I remember. I still distinctly remember this. You and your parents, you guys came out to my grandparents or my parents' house at the time one time, and you were probably, I don't know what age you were. You were probably grade school. You guys were out swimming during the summer. You were running around with that your shirt off, and already, it was like, man, that kid's got a six-pack. He's got delts and traps, and it was like grade school. And he reminded me of Travis Schwartz. I was like, that looks like a little Travis Schwartz running around here. And it was just like, he's going to be fun to watch. And then just as you continue to get older, baseball and football, and it was like, let's see what he can do. And boy, he did not disappoint. So there was that anticipation, I'd say, from from people that knew you, and then as you kind of got on the field, more people got to know you, and it's similar to, I don't know if you've seen, Morrell this year, Arlie Morrell with basketball. It was like, man, when he was a freshman, you started seeing what he could be, and then sophomore year, junior year.
See,
by the time
all those years, so I only got to watch him this year.
I know, and boy, was he fun to watch. But it was one of those kids, those generational talents that as they go through high school, the gyms start to fill up year after year a little bit more. Pratt is such a loyal town to following their sports, and when that buzz starts to get a little bit louder, it starts putting more people in the stands and more people in the gym, and it's fun. And that definitely,
the sub-state game was crazy.
Oh, it was
one of the best environments I've ever seen.
It was fun. It was fun. That was that basketball game. I was curious if you felt that. Now, your story coming to Pratt is a little different than Trav's. He grew up here in Pratt. You didn't put on a Greenback jersey until your freshman year. Is that right, Coby? You didn't go to middle school and grade school here?
Yep. So back up 1 second to this Arlie kid. Blake plays on a basketball team coached by one of the collegiate coaches.
Okay.
And so they know we're from Pratt originally. Mm-hmm. So he asked me about this kid during football season. And I was like, yeah, I think he's pretty good. I hear he's pretty good. And at the time that he's the basketball coach at collegiate, he was like, yeah, wait till you see him play basketball. So I had no idea that he was that talented, but apparently basketball's kind of his sport.
I would say I didn't look through the record book this year, but he filled it up. He cleared a lot of the names and put his name in there. Football, I think he's got the better opportunity to go play at the next level with just his size and his build and his skill set. You look at him and a 6'6", 220-pound, you're thinking D1 tight end there.
Yeah.
And it's just my opinion, but you put that on a basketball court, and boy, you've got to be elite to be a 6'6" guard at the D1 level. So to me, he translates better on the football field in college. But boy, basketball, it's fun to watch him play basketball.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, he was fun to watch. So back to kind of your coming to Pratt and then that community buzz and whatnot. How did your journey to Pratt kind of start, and what was it like stepping in as a freshman and then there on out?
So I moved here as a freshman, moved here the summer before my freshman year, and my dad worked at the feed yard. People started talking, hey, there's this athlete that came to town. So a couple days into it, Adam Wilkie, Mark Van Blerkum just showed up at the house. School hadn't started yet, so I started hanging out with those guys before the season. So when football actually started, I already had a friend base, which was nice. It didn't look like I was going to play running back at first. They had there was a kid named Jeremy House he was big. He was going to have that position, but he got hurt, and then game 2 against Chaparral's that's kind of when I got the start.
This is still your freshman year?
Still my freshman year, so we had our own freshman team. I don't know how it is now. I guess do the freshmen even play together anymore?
No, I mean, once
JV
you're a
and
freshman,
varsity,
it's
right?
junior varsity and
Okay.
varsity.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no distinction between freshmen and then
I think there's like 50 kids on the team, maybe. About each year.
give or take. Yeah.
Football's changed a lot. I just always thought it should be, if you're a freshman or a senior, best kid plays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then Pratt, I can't remember, when we played, which was probably 5 years after you, it was the freshmen got done about a week or two before the varsity, and then Coach Anderson would usually pick 4 of the freshmen to come up and finish out that week. And I remember as a freshman, that was one of the most terrifying things. Like when you're a freshman in high school, and I always said this about you because you started as a freshman. When I remember being a freshman and looking at seniors like they were like giants. Like these aren't the same creatures. That's an 18-year-old man and you got a 15-year-old kid. And that's what was always impressed me about you was that you fit in out there on the football field as a freshman. And I remember thinking like, gosh, just walking the halls, I remember Brent Brigham and Travis Schwartz and my brother, those guys were seniors and they just seemed like they were on a different planet than what a freshman was.
Yeah. I had a lot of athletic ability my freshman year, but I wasn't big. I didn't start I developed my sophomore year.
About how much did you weigh, you think?
I was probably 165 as a freshman, but 195 as a junior. So
I think I was about 154 freshman year and then 190 senior year, 195.
Yeah.
What are you at now? What
215.
215?
Yeah, for 6 years.
Been there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. It when you look back at that, your freshman year going up to your sophomore year, then even then starting as a sophomore was a big deal.
Yep.
And you started as strong safety your sophomore year, right?
Yep. Yeah, there were some pretty good running backs. There were some pretty good running backs still playing. So
well, I mean, I'd emailed Coach Anderson a couple weeks ago when I knew we were going to do this podcast, and I said, "Hey, Coach, I'm going to have Coby on and Travis on, and would just love to hear your thoughts, or some stories, just anything, any little tidbits or anything like that." And he was kind enough then to send me back, a good email and just saying that when you were a sophomore, it was a loaded backfield with seniors. Said you still got some carries. He told a neat story. He said after your junior year, you guys went out to the Vail camp out there in Colorado, and Urban Meyer was the offensive coordinator for Colorado State at the time, and he was heavily recruiting you.
Yep.
But he said you only wanted to play for a Big 8 school at the time if you were coming out of high school to play Division I ball. And I thought that was a pretty neat story that I had never heard that before.
Yeah, big mistake, man. I should have went to Colorado State. I should have kept playing. I would have fit there. I didn't fit at Kansas State. I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't big enough, and I wasn't strong enough. And that's very odd to say because I could hang clean 350 pounds and I could run a 4.5 40, but that wasn't enough at the next level. And if you remember right, that 98 team at K-State, they should have won the national championship. That team was loaded.
Well, in Coach Anderson's email, he talked about the backfield in the Shrine Bowl that you played with, and it was I don't have the email pulled
Mark
up.
Semino,
Goolsby,
yep,
and there was another one too. And you said they all went on to play in the NFL.
Yeah, Brian Shea was part of that.
Yeah, that was who was in the backfield. So when you were coming up, though, Trav, we were talking about a lot of names. How much did you know the history of Pratt High or aware of it, of the names on the leaderboard? Not necessarily that you were paying attention to the leaderboard, but Pratt High has just such a storied history, and we talk about it so often, and the football program and Zerger Field, and And I think that's what makes it unique and neat is the culture and that history that surrounds it. But as a kid growing up, going through grade school and middle school, then how aware were you of some of those names and what were those names?
I mean, I hung out at the Reiner house, so all those brothers. I watched your tape before I was in 6th grade, I bet, Cole and Reiner, all those guys. So I knew what to expect, and I don't know how old I was when I knew Kobe's record, but I was chasing it, at least.
Or really, you knew it early on. That was
and
a
all
goal
the
of
guys
yours.
knew it too, so I don't know. That helped, It was a team effort. It wasn't just my thing. It was a team effort.
Right.
And, we were chasing it since freshman year, I think, honestly.
And then you, Kobe, with a little bit different coming into that freshman year, did you know much about Pratt High records or some of the names that came before you? JoJo Reynolds, as a Pratt guy and a kid growing up, that name, it was a big deal when you broke that record. Like, it just seemed, everybody around the community held that record and JoJo's name in really high regard, and rightfully so. Were you aware of those records and some of those names that have come before you?
Yeah, so when we played, that was part of it. You knew everything. You learned everything there was about Pratt High football, and I became pretty good friends with Craig. So I knew about JoJo because of Craig.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're pretty aware of that stuff, and even in the weight room, going in the weight room and seeing the names. I don't know if they do it anymore. Iron Man, Green Glue, stuff like that. You're aware of who did what.
And was that a goal going into high school then of that record? Like Trav just saying, your record was on his vision board. Did you have a goal once you realized you were going to start getting some carries and to go after that record from JoJo?
No, because it happened slow for me. Like I played a few snaps my sophomore year, and then me and Bryce Bolin split my junior year. I mean, we basically split carries 50-50. I was in on 1st and 3rd down. He was there 2nd and 4th, and it kind of went like that. So no, I don't think it dawned on me till I think our first game my senior year was against Russell, and I don't know, I had 600 and some total yards.
Yeah, that was one of your 2 6-touchdown games.
Yeah, I returned a couple
Russell
kicks
and Nickerson put up 6 touchdowns that season, still in the record books for that one.
So that's when it dawned on me, was after the first game. I was like, okay, listen, I think I can do something this year, total yard-wise.
That was when I was looking through some of the record books. 41 times. That's how many times the 2 of your names are in that record book when you look through the Pratt High record. 41 mentions of Coby Tresner or Travis Theis. So, pretty impressive. And you've got that record as well, tied at 6 touchdowns against Larned. That was another name you see a lot in that record book is Larned.
Gosh dang, you couldn't leave me one?
I wanted to get 7.
Now, you do have the most carries, 40 carries. That one has not been topped. 40, 40 carries in one game. You did have that one, Coby. That one still stands.
Was that against Great Bend?
I didn't see.
Okay.
I don't know if they had who that one was against, but 1,000-yard seasons. You got Trav. You had 3. Coby, you had 2. I mean, it's fun going down the list here of seeing just how close some of your records are, or what Trav had to do to eclipse them. And some of those numbers, I don't know that they'll be touched in quite some time. I mean, yours stood for 24 years. It was 26 years before JoJo's had broke. And, Trav putting the numbers up that he did.
And football's changing a little bit. It seems like a lot of these schools around here are throwing the ball more. And
oh, definitely. Now, I don't know. Cruz, his offense didn't a whole lot. I mean, it was more a throw out of necessity.
5 times a game,
yeah, and we do a little bit now. I think it's more the personnel. If we have it, it's there. But even when I graduated in 2000, so played the 97 through 99 season, and we had Colin Reiner, who was, one of the best quarterbacks to come through here. And it wasn't until then that Coach Anderson, I think, started saying, okay, we've got a dude here. We got to put some packages in to start throwing the ball, other than just the automatic to the sideline that Carlson would throw.
Mm-hmm.
That was about all that Anderson would throw. It wasn't much, maybe a tight end up the slot, but there wasn't a lot of running in the 90s style Anderson football. It's changed a lot of ways, though, and that's, the 2 perspectives that you guys have is, you're still playing now. You played in that 90s peak Anderson era. When you have the lens of being able to look back on how it's played now versus how it was played then, do you think it's changed, or is it just evolved?
So I have to watch Andover football now, which has Coach Cruz, and they're running that offense that doesn't throw much. But we go watch other games around the state, and it seems like there's a lot of pass-heavy offenses. So you don't see the formations like that basic. We ran a single wing and we had that robust formation. That you don't see that. So yeah, I think passing wise, I think there's some talented kids around that can throw, and I think a lot of teams are throwing the ball.
Well, too, and you guys probably do these or did these, Travis, but, we never had or heard of a 7-on-7 camp, and that thing, it just wasn't around where it was nothing but passing, or it wasn't around yet when you were in high school.
Around, but I wasn't doing it.
Nothing that Pratt did at that time.
I didn't know about that until college, I think, so.
Yeah. It's changed, but again, I think it's more evolved than changed, as you look back at 30 years of football. When you were in high school, what did a game day look like for you? A game week, the Monday through Thursday, and then the game day Friday, and then we'll get to Coby and kind of see the difference between the typical week versus game day prep routines. Yeah.
Oh, I can't even remember, man. I've played a lot of football since then. I took a lot of hits to the head since then.
That's another thing is the difference in the hits from from high school to college to the CFL to where you're at now.
True. I think Mondays were all chill, We would come in on Saturdays, though, in high school. I remember that, which I love to do. They made you come in at like 10:30, I think, and we'd watch film and do like
it was aerobics when I was
field X. Yeah. A field X is what we do. So something like that.
Yeah.
Aerobics. Yeah.
Yep.
And then Tuesday through Thursday. Tuesday and Wednesday were pretty tough. Thursday was a walkthrough, pretty chill. Friday we played.
Any game day routines that stuck with you through your high school to even your playing days now? No superstitions?
No superstitions, man. It can be all different. Fall back on your preparation type of guy. No superstitions. So we did a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things I'm looking forward to is hearing about the culture in the 90s because we tried to replicate it, in the locker room and just the pride of being a Greenback. We tried to make it like that when I was in high school. So at least from, hanging out at the Reiner house, like I said, it was a big deal to them. So it was a big deal to us.
It's funny about that culture. I still bring up words today that I learned from Rich Anderson. Integrity's the big one.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time. That was scrolled down. It was written down in the locker room. The big thing for us was you just didn't miss practice. If you had to be dying to miss practice. You were letting your team down if you missed practice. So it was the same for us. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice, but Thursday I'm sure you went through it. The film Thursday night.
Yep.
We'd always go to Pizza Hut. We'd get the book about the handwritten book.
Yeah. One thing, you guys do couch on Friday
session.
nights? We did that
We
too.
had couch session.
Thursday nights, yeah.
And I don't know, at some point that got disbanded or barred. I'm not sure what happened with couch session.
Doesn't happen anymore, you're saying?
Well, I don't think so. Or maybe it's called something different or done a little different. But it seemed to always get passed down where Thursday night after Pizza Hut, you'd go to somebody's basement. And looking back on it now, it's probably better defined as like a seance or some cult-like activity that we all thought was neat.
We did some.
Yeah. We went to the Carlson household, and Casey or Craig gave haircuts.
Yeah.
So
haircuts?
Yeah. Most of the team was bald, so we were fixing up the haircut on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
We were at my house a few times in the basement with the lights off, passing around a ball, talking about what we see.
Couldn't talk unless you had the ball. Yep.
Really worked.
See, so some things passed along well then. Didn't change. Talking about that scouting report, that's something too. When we talk about the different eras, is just the change in technology of like what's available for players now as far as game day prep and learning. When we were going to school, or when I was, you got maybe a 12-page stapled together sheets that I think Mr. Horn, our math teacher, had done all the analytics and the tendencies of, whether it was Ulysses or Larned. And, now, like when you played, Trav, you guys had Huddle and, all kinds of access to analytics and data. Do you think sometimes you have too much data, or how much does that hurt or help?
I don't think we really
didn't use it much.
I don't remember getting a printout of anything, honestly, just because they didn't want it laying around anymore.
Yeah.
But in the CFL, I get everything printed out, which is nice.
Yeah.
I like it better that way.
Yeah.
Paper type of guy. I don't know. You get on the iPad, something's gonna pop up on social media, get you off the game.
So we had a girl, I can't remember her name. She went to school with us our junior year, and then she moved to Great Bend. And the week we played Great Bend, that packet got passed out on Thursday night, and on Friday morning, the Great Bend team had copies of it, and they all had it, and they were carrying it down the hall, laughing. And this girl was friends with some kids still from Pratt, and she was like, "Oh my God, they hate Coby Tresner. They're going to kill this poor guy." and we ended up winning that game in overtime. And they were a 5A school, we were a 4A school at the time, but that was the toughest game that I've ever been in. And they
were out to get you.
Yeah, and that happened to be the week that the Hutch paper did some big piece on me, so they had that also.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, we had the same thing happen in, I think it was going into Ulysses week. At the end of that scouting report, at least for us, Coach Albers would always write some lengthy, motivating speech, that was probably for players' eyes only. And somehow that scouting report got into the hands of Ulysses, I think. And Coach Albers had called him useless instead of Ulysses. I think he's probably going to hate me for saying that. And I think he even had to issue an apology to the school. Yeah, those were the days pre social media when you thought the paper was safe. But that's another thing too, is the social media. How much recruiting now does a kid have to do himself versus when you were in school? It seemed like the head coach was more the gatekeeper of that. Every recruiting opportunity had to come from the college through the head coach to the player. Where now it feels like kids are either good or bad, really able to promote themselves more so than rely on that coach to do it.
I think some coaches are better than others at it.
Yeah.
I think some head coaches in high school do a really good job. They try to get kids recruited, try to get their kids recruited. I mean, it makes them look better in my opinion. But I don't know. Some coaches don't really. I don't remember having a lot of help, but
that's what I was wondering. Your recruiting process that you went through and you eventually landed on South Dakota. What did that look like from start to finish, or is it too long a process to?
It's just go to camps. When you're a sophomore, junior, go to all the camps in the summer. Hopefully, build an interest. And then it was a waiting game for me. I had all the D2s in Kansas, a bunch of MIAAs, but I had no Division I's until I think the late signing day was like February 4th. And it was January 20th, and South Dakota finally was like, "All right, we're gonna offer you." I was like, "Thank goodness," But
where were you going if they didn't?
I don't know. I hadn't decided yet. I had a walk on to KU. South Dakota had offered me to walk on. I'm like, why would I walk on at South Dakota when I can walk on at KU?
Yeah.
That kind of got him, I guess.
Yeah.
Now looking back at though, man, how good a decision was that to go to South Dakota? Like you had a great 6-year. I feel like I should call you Dr. Theis as long as you were there.
Just a master's. Just a master's.
On the recruiting side though, Coby, you mentioned kind of early on about Colorado State and some of that, but were you aware of some of the recruiting profile that was around you at the time, or did Coach Anderson keep that kind of distant from you, or was there much recruiting?
Just letters. So obviously getting letters, 2 or 3 times a week. I knew schools that were interested. I shot myself in the foot. I had told a lot of people early that I was going to K-State whether I had a scholarship or not. That's where I wanted to go. That's where my friends were going. So K-State knew it. I can't remember the guy's name. He went on to coach KU. Was it Mangino?
Mangino, yeah.
So he was the one he was recruiting me. He was the running back coach at K-State at the time. They helped me get financial aid. They helped me get my school paid for with loans, but there was no scholarship, and I think part of it was, they knew the Shrine Bowl that year was in Manhattan. I talked to them. I stayed up there for a couple days after the Shrine Bowl, talked to them, and had planned to go as a preferred walk-on. So I think just by telling them that I was going, I think that and I'm not saying I was going to get an offer, but I could have went to Colorado State free, and honestly wish I would have.
Really, looking back on it now.
Yep.
I could have done something similar. Went Division II for free. Ended up taking 60% my first 2 years at South Dakota. So there was a time in my life I felt a similar way. You know what I mean? But I'm grateful to go to South Dakota for sure.
How quick did you put your football career behind you, Coby? Trav, you're still playing, so you've got, quite a while left, hopefully, that we get to watch you play. But, with the career that you had, did it take you a while to close that chapter?
The book's still open, man. I go to high school football games now, and I think about, what could have been if I stuck it out.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think football was such a big deal here. They just beat it into your head for 4 years. Yeah. And I don't think you ever get over it.
Well, and you played it at the highest level.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think. I didn't give it the time or the effort that I should have. And I'll live with that for the rest of my life. I went on, built a successful business, so I'm not mad about it, but I'll always wonder what could have been. And I mean, we'll never know, but I sit there and I watch my kids, and like Luke's 6'2", 205, and he plays tennis. And he's got an enormous amount of ability, but he doesn't like it. So I'm kind of on the fence. Do I push him? Do I make him do it, or do I let him be the best tennis player he can be?
Yeah.
So it's tough. Being a parent, you'll figure that out at some point. That's tougher than Pratt Greenback football.
Well, and that perspective that you have now, that you just want to instill it and say, trust me, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I lived what you're going through. But if someone had said that to you at that age, you would have said, whatever, you don't get it. I'm not listening to you.
Yeah, and I did.
I would have said the same thing to myself if I was talking to my 16-year-old self. I
my
wouldn't be
dad-
able to convince him.
My dad wanted me to be a baseball player.
And that's what we all thought. We all thought, boy, he's great at football,
My
but
uncle wanted me to baseball player.
baseball's his
My
sport.
grandpa wanted me to be a baseball player. Had guys in my, I think, who's the old collegiate coach?
Fiegel.
Basketball coach. Fiegel,
Yep.
yeah. Fiegel was in my house one time telling me, you need to play baseball,
At
In college.
At collegiate,
in
probably.
College. No, just in college. They're like telling me stories about all these football guys, how they can barely walk now. They're 50 years old, that kind of thing. And I think that kind of was a little hard-headed. That pushed me towards football more, you know what I mean?
Dude, you did your homework. I'm 50 years old, and I can barely walk now. I need 2 new knee replacements, and a lot of it's football, and I didn't play as much as you, so
That's coming.
there will be a time where you don't have any cartilage left.
Yeah, it's coming.
When did you know football was the path? I mean, did you always know, or when did you kind of decide, boy, I'm going to have to make a decision here at some point, baseball or football, and football's my true love?
I mean, I think probably after sophomore year,
Really?
it went so well, and just winning the state championship and the way it felt, really fell in love with it then and there, I think.
Yeah.
Did you put everything else to the side? Did you just start practicing football and put the
No,
baseball
I
bat
didn't.
down?
I did put basketball to the side a little bit. I think junior year I got injured and I played late in the year, and then senior year I got injured again late in the football season. Tore my knee up a little bit, so I didn't play at all. I think I could have, but I really loved baseball still, but I think just people around me pushing me other ways.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy how it's turned out so far, you know what I mean?
It's turned out great for you.
And a football locker room's like nothing else, you know what I mean?
Truth.
Nothing else.
Yep.
And it's the same way from high school to college to pros, man. It's the
That's
same.
what I was going to ask, was how does it change much, or is
It's
the
the
locker
same,
room
you
always
know?
the locker room?
Funny story. There's a 37-year-old quarterback. I don't know if I should be saying this live, but whatever. 37-year-old quarterback, played 15 years professionally, okay? And a lot of experience. I don't remember where he played in college, but from California. We're showering together like normal. I walk in there, I slapped him on the ass. We're naked. He went around telling everybody I was the gayest dude on the team because he's played 15 years pro. He never had anybody slap him on the ass in the shower. And here's a 24-year-old rookie. doing
Kansas
it.
kid, yeah, kid coming from Kansas. That's great. You mentioned that Great Bend game as one of your tougher games in your high school career, Coby. Is there one that you look back on, Trav, and you're like, man, that one took everything out of me?
Tougher? I mean, I remember Andale being tough.
Yes.
There's
Oh,
some
that was a heck of a game. That's
some
one that I
different
still
hits
talk
in
about
that
on the
game.
radio, is just the build up to that game.
Yeah, that was fun. The build-up to the game was crazy.
I mean,
So-
that whole week.
Did you was Pratt 3A the whole time you played?
They had 4A split into 2 divisions, if
Okay.
you remember that.
Yeah,
For a
I
few
don't.
years.
Okay.
For a few years. Because when we won state, it was split into 2 divisions. We were D2, 4A, so.
And then a
Okay.
couple years after that, the second time you went back to state,
Senior year was 3A.
it was 3A. Yeah,
Yep.
and then since then we've been 3A ever since. In football, they classify football different than the other sports, so we're always 3A in football, but 4A
Yeah.
in all the other
Yeah,
sports.
they balance it to put a certain amount of teams in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So
Yeah, always kind of gets filtered down from there. One of the big games in your Trav, that last one, Sabetha, the double overtime loss in the state championship. How much do you look back on that ball game? Coby talked about some of the regrets of not playing after high school. you know, you don't have any regrets from the playing side of things yet, but is that a game you look back on with the, man, I wish I would have, wish I could have, or something
no
that
regrets.
lives in your brain?
No regrets. Shoot,
That was a hell of a game.
I gave it all I had because I had a bum knee
Yeah.
too. So I remember we were down 18-0 at half. I don't know if you saw that game.
Yeah.
The locker room was pretty quiet at halftime.
I think you came out of the halftime without the knee brace
Yeah,
on,
that
too.
helped a lot.
I think
The
you
knee
threw
the
it
knee
off and
brace was
said,
heavy.
I'm
Knee
done
brace
with
was
it.
heavy. No, I felt bad for all my teammates, because we wanted that so bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it was a good lesson. And it never, if in a way, it felt like we won it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Just because how far we came, what happened. Junior year, we were supposed to win a state championship again, and we didn't even make the playoffs. I think we got bounced by Kingman and district.
Yeah.
So to get there and for that to happen, and to see the picture of the ball being out at the pylon, and
Yeah.
knowing like
Yeah.
it could have went either way, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I remember there's pictures of me too fumbling, and they didn't call it a fumble, so it went both ways. You know,
You're right.
So
Right.
Yeah, one call never really makes a game.
it doesn't. It was just the picture. It's tough to say. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that one floated around for quite a while. You know, Coach Anderson mentioned too in that email that I got back from him about that defense on the '93 team that you were when you were junior, and when you look at the record books, that one's in there a ton too. I think you guys gave up 1 touchdown through the first 8 games before you faced Wellington in the playoff.
Yeah.
7 shutouts, 1 touchdown against Haven in week 2, and then a 10-3 or 10-7 loss to Wellington at the end of the season. But what was it like being part of a defense? That defense is still talked about too. Like Coach Anderson said, his words, best defense I ever coached in Pratt High history,
Yep.
and the record books reflect it too.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's really all I played my sophomore year was defense. So we were good. We were good. I think that I hold as much pride in that year as I do, all the rushing yards that I had my senior year, because it's not about what like I accomplished. It's what we accomplished as a team. That was a good team. That '93 team was a really good team.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think a blocked punt set up that Wellington touchdown
did.
is what changed that game. And then your senior year, you go out to Scott City undefeated going into that ball game. How do you remember that Scott City game?
Oh, they were tough. They were tough. I had hurt my ankle in practice that week. I didn't think it was that bad. I ended up not finishing that game. I think the game was over by the time I was done playing. They were just better than us.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, they were a better football team. I'm shocked that they lost in the state game to Paola, but that
was the Brian Shade.
yeah.
Yeah.
That kid was just amazing, and just 2 really good football teams, and just unfortunate we were just on the wrong side of the way the bracket sets up, and in 4A football, I don't think people understand it. I actually think it's 5A football now in the state, but 4A football in the 90s was those 4A teams could beat 6A teams. It was just
It was a gauntlet.
Yeah, 4A football was really tough in the 90s.
Trav, you talked about the locker room moment that we'll leave that one where it was with the shower scene. But best locker room speech you've ever heard from a coach or a player? One stand out?
Oh, not really.
No? Kobe, any in the high school days that like, boy, Coach Alley or Albers or Anderson?
Oh,
Who was the coaching staff when you were there? I don't know if it was the same
yeah.
as I was or not, but if you remember, read them off if you can think of who was on that staff.
Alley,
Was Kirkhart?
Kirkhart was there, and then we had for a few games Roger Teasing would come in and help. And best locker room speech goes to Roger Teasing. He came in at halftime. I believe it was the Great Bend game, and that was I don't think I've ever seen that many people at the Pratt High Stadium. They probably had more people on their side than we had on our side. They brought the whole town, and that game was close at halftime. We came out in the second half, and all we did was run. We ran 2 plays. We ran belly right or belly left, and we were going to go for it on 4th down, and we were going to get 3 yards of play. And if it took us 12 minutes to march down the field, that's what we were going to do, and that's how we scored in overtime. It took 3 plays from the 10. So.
But Teasing with a good locker room speech at that time.
Yeah, he was not afraid. he was not. He didn't have a filter when it came to halftime speeches.
Sometimes that's what a teenage boy needs.
Yeah, Roger could
Love
get
it.
angry.
Trav, you're not quite as removed as Coby is from the Greenback scene, but at any point, being that teenage boy, do you feel that pressure of being kind of the hometown star or the kid that everybody's like, oh, that's Travis Theis. He's back in town. I want to go. Does that ever feel on your shoulders, or how do you deal with that, or is it just, hey, I'm the hometown kid?
I mean, yeah, it's just fun to be here.
Yeah,
it's fun to be here. It's fun to hang out with the kids. I do 7 at the school a lot too, so
that's
they're all
what some of
used to
my
me
little
now.
kids are like. We had Travis Theis
I
as
think
our
I did middle school a few
substitute.
times too. A lot of them don't know me anymore. I'm getting kind of old, but they can look up my name and see that I'm a pro football player. They think I have a bunch of money. They start.
You're like,
Nope,
dude, I'm substitute teaching.
Nope, yeah, I'm subbing for a reason here.
When you were getting close to JoJo's record, Coby, did you feel any of that pressure as kind of the guy that was filling up the stands? We talked about that buzz a little bit earlier with Arlie Morrell. When you have one of those kids come through here, where that buzz gets loud around town, did you feel that at all when you were playing?
Yeah, late in the season they started talking about it. So I knew where we were. Coach Anderson knew what was needed and made sure we got it. Team effort, obviously, couldn't have done it without those guys. But yeah, we knew. I'd say 4 or 5 games in, we knew
it was achievable and kept you on pace to get it.
Yeah, it was, but it becomes a goal. You don't want to go out there and say, well, I was playing for that because we were playing to win.
Right.
Obviously, I'd take a state championship like the guys won the next year over any of these records that we've got here. But we knew, we tried for it, but I think it made us better.
How was that? You mentioned that state championship the next year after you graduated. What was that like to be 1 year removed from that ultimate goal?
Oh, so I'm still friends with a lot of those guys. I mean, I'm happy for them. I'm certainly not jealous. Certainly don't. I don't think about what I missed. I'm more
just a bittersweet.
Yeah, good for them. Do I wish I was a part of it? Absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of that? But, maybe we made that team better from what we did the year before. So, yeah, that's not that doesn't bother me near as bad as, not seeing where my career could go. But no, man, just happy for those guys. Happy for Pratt. I mean, it's a big deal just for the town.
Yeah, it is. You see these small towns when they make it to, I call us a small town, comparing us to 5, 6A schools or whatnot. But, even going to the state championship in basketball this year, from that 4A level down, the town shuts down. You do something fun like that, make it to the postseason, get on a run late in the season for football. And, I mean, it is typical movie scene, Main Street closed, we'll reopen next week, heading to Emporia for state championship. And it's awesome. And you don't get that at 5A, 6A schools sometimes, but man, you get a small town that gets behind their hometown team, and it's fun to support. And then on the playing side of it, it's fun to be on.
Yep,
it's that's why I always talk on the radio so much about the Greenback community and the nation. And how much do you notice that as far removed from it you are, as just how strong that Greenback community is? That still, do you still feel ties to it? Not necessarily maybe with kids that are playing now or Pratt in the hometown itself, but guys you played with that Greenback is the common bond that, had you not played football with them, you probably wouldn't be still reaching out. I know on my sake that, man, I got a lot of buddies still that it's, the Anderson, I feel like playing under Coach Anderson, or for you, Coach Cruz, that coach is kind of even a subset of that commonality that, we all played Greenback football, but if you played for Coach Anderson, then you've got another little group here that, boy, you've got some stories to tell that everybody, I can relate to you because we played with Coach Anderson.
Yeah.
You played Greenback football. So it's that fun bond that I feel like keeps a lot of people together.
Yeah, you see some of these websites, these social media, Sports in Kansas, they'll feature a Pratt guy, and you always want to comment, hey, way to go, and I'm from there, and I mean, you want people to know it's kind of neat.
Yeah. Trav, your buddies back in the day. I mean, you still got that good group, good tie of all the guys
hang out with all of them that I can. You know? Still love them like brothers. So It's great to see them when I can. That's why I love being in Pratt, too, in the off season. Get to see all those guys, hang out with those guys for a while. So I remember in college, too, I'd always come back and hang out with those guys. And a lot of them would come watch me play. So Montreal's a little too far for that. But, yeah, great friends from
We'll get you.
from
Wait till you're
football.
here playing at Arrowhead,
Yeah.
and then we'll bring the masses
I'm
up
getting
that
old,
way.
25. They might give me
Yeah.
one more chance, you know?
You know,
I'll tell you
They
what,
might give me one more.
the age life of a running back these days is
Yeah. 28.
yeah.
Well, you
Sometimes
have
earlier.
disproven the odds for the majority of your career, so
Been
we will
pretty-
not let an age limit box you into what you
Yeah.
can or cannot
Been
do.
pretty lucky, man.
Yeah, I'm sure you had it probably in your college days. But did you? What was the welcome to varsity or welcome to college moment when you got up there to South Dakota, or even for you when you started playing as a sophomore? Was it like, oh, this is different?
Oh, you got one? I don't have to think about it. I don't know.
No big hit that you're like, boy, these guys hit harder than Andale. Or
No, I will tell you, I can't remember. I think it was we were the season had just started my sophomore year. Jason Beffert hit. I missed a block. I was playing running back, and we were the scout team against the starting defense.
I felt like the welcome to varsity moment
Yeah.
came in practice too.
Jason Beffert was the defensive end, and I missed my block on the end, and he popped Jeff McIntyre in the mouth and split his chin open. And Jeff will remember this. And Coach Anderson grabbed me inside of my face mask and grabbed me by, I think he had his hand in my mouth.
Like a fish.
I seriously thought about quitting. I was like, I can't, but I never, ever missed a block as a running back on the end ever again. But that was it for me. That's something that I'll never forget that. And I think everybody on that field that day would remember that.
Not one that happened to me, but something that happened that was kind of a welcome to college football. A lot of guys go through this, I think. One of my classmates freshman year, left tackle, a huge dude, over 300 pounds, like 6'6", you know. They make all those O-linemen wear the knee braces. Dude snaps his leg in half in practice. Lower leg in half. Move it up 20 yards. Ambulance behind us on the field getting him off. We're practicing
wow.
up further on the field. So, you know, that's one of those things where you look at your teammates, everybody like, I don't
this
feel
is
like
different.
practicing anymore. I don't feel like practicing today, but that was a good one.
On the flip side of that, did you have the moment in college or even when you started playing varsity where it's like, okay, I belong here? You know, I can do this. These guys are my equals. I'm no longer intimidated.
Well, there was if you ask my classmates in college, they'd probably tell you a story. One of the first practices we had pads on, there was another freshman, and I'd caught the ball on the sideline and ran him over pretty good, and everybody went crazy, and it was just a big hit. And we never even got it on video because it was the freshman playing, so they weren't filming it.
Yeah.
But everybody remembered it.
After that, the team knew, all right, this Theis kid's for
Everybody
real.
knew,
Yeah. Kobe, anything like that?
Yeah, just being able to start as a sophomore because under Coach Anderson, that wasn't you had to be pretty good.
Yeah.
You had to be a decent athlete to start as a sophomore. Should I have been a strong safety? Probably not. I probably should have been a defensive end, but I don't think he wanted his running back playing defensive end also.
Yeah.
Try to put you in a position on the field on defense where you're not going to take a lot of contact. You're getting the contact when you're carrying the ball because there wasn't anything special to my running style. I didn't try to juke anybody. I didn't try to outrun anybody. I knew how to
downhill
hit.
runner.
Yeah, I just run people over, and if you could stop me, you could stop me. But after the initial contact, I was good for 3 to 5 yards. I don't know. And it's funny because like playing linebacker and delivering a hit versus playing running back and delivering a hit, it's totally different. You know, I wasn't a good. I wasn't good at delivering a hit on defense, but I could run you over when I was carrying the ball.
Who taught you that? Why'd you do it?
I really don't know where it came from. I think that's a great question, man. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
When asking that question, did your running style come more from instinct, or were you did it mesh
I
as
think
you
so,
got
but
older and different coaches
I mean,
to help shape it?
I think my dad was like 140 pounds his senior year, but he always told me, you got nowhere to go, you pick the biggest guy and you run him over, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just instinct, but also those
We
stories
saw a
from my
lot of
dad,
that.
you know?
Yeah, we
Hey,
saw a lot of
Yeah.
that. You know,
Nowhere
be
to
like,
go,
why
you run
didn't
'em over."
Trav cut it outside up the sideline? Instead, he cut it back to the hash and took on the safety. Fun to watch.
I sit in the stands at Andover games and I see a big, strong, tough running back that runs hard. And then I watch him stand up as he's going through the hole, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, how good this kid could be if he understood. And you can sit there and tell them, but that doesn't mean they get it. If you learn how to deliver a hit, you can hit any linebacker that's not twice your size, but you can take on a bigger linebacker as a running back if you know how to hit him.
Yeah, and that was something you did. I mean, you ran so low to the ground. Your center of gravity.
Helps being 5'9".
it does.
You look like you're 5'11", probably.
6'1".
6'1"?
But it's. I mean, look, I'm 50 now, and no
Oh, yeah,
cartilage
you
in my
might have
knees.
shrunk.
Maybe
You might have
maybe
shrunk.
I've come down an inch or two.
I think Kobe could still suit it up.
I bet you could.
Man, I ran into some health problems in 2017, so I quit drinking and started going to the gym every day. And I mean, I feel like I could play, but then I go to bed at night and I have to sleep on my side because my knees are no good. And,
Yeah.
but
I'll be there soon.
yeah, but you know, I kind of think it's important. I mean, you guys, you obviously, but you know, I see a lot of people that are my age, and I think physical fitness and the way you take care of yourself, you know, after sports are done, I think it's pretty important, and I think we need to. I think people need to stick with it instead of just saying, "Hey, my football career's over, so I'm done lifting.
Well,
I'm done
the
exercising."
mental aspect of it is, it's huge.
Yep.
You know,
I'll have to if I want to live for a long time because I'll be so broken down. You know what I mean? If I
Yeah.
quit working out, it'll go downhill too quick. So
That I figured that out. It was a little too late, but not too late. But it took a while. So I quit lifting for a while, and I kind of got, I was 250 and not soft because I'm just naturally big, but like not where I wanted to be. But now I'm 250 and I'm pretty strong again. So, I mean, if I can do it just by putting in a little bit of time at the gym, hell, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
But I think it's important, and that's the kind of things that I want my kids to see. So, like, I want them to see me doing it, so as they get older, they'll do it too.
Yep. Trav, any final words? Kobe talked about, he remembers integrity from Coach Anderson. I know Coach Cruz played a big role in your football journey through Pratt High. Still good contact with him today. Any specific speech or word that when you think of Coach Cruz and the impact he had on your high school career and beyond that comes to you?
I can't think of anything in particular. Really,
Yeah.
but I will
Played a big
say
role, though, in your –
He did.
Yep.
I mean, we all loved him. It'd been awesome to see him. I love Holting, too. It'd been awesome to see him coach the Greenbacks for 50 years,
Right.
just because we played for him. But
right.
I left high school. I didn't know what degree I wanted to get in college, whatever. But I felt like I wanted to coach high school football because if I could impact kids the way that Coach Cruz impacted me, I feel like I'd be doing good in this world. So obviously it made a great impact on me. Like I said, I played a lot of football since then, taking a lot of hits to the head. That's halfway a joke.
I'll give yourself some credit. Yeah.
That's halfway a joke. But, yeah, we loved him. Great football coach, but even better dude.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, unless you guys got anything that you want to shoot at the other one, it's been a fun conversation.
Yeah, man.
Shoot, I'm glad I got to meet you, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got you both in the room. Like I said, when I told people we were doing this, they're like, "Oh, that's gonna be a good one."
Yeah,
I
didn't
was like, "Well, I hope so."
I didn't really know your come up story. I had no idea you weren't from Pratt and you didn't get to freshman year. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
too.
moved here my freshman year and so played 4 years of football here. Went to Manhattan for 4 years and then moved to Chicago right out of college for 15 years. Phoenix for 5 and came back to Wichita and now my kids go to Andover and. Yeah. Coach Cruz, I've got a 12-year-old.
Look at that full circle there.
Yeah, I got a 12-year-old, and he's a pretty good athlete. So, Cruz is going to get a good
player?
one. Yeah,
there you go.
Yep, he's going to be a good one.
You were playing in middle school, right?
Yeah, I mean, we started playing football back in 4th grade.
Yeah, 3rd for me, I think.
Yeah. So it I tell you what I hated about Wichita, but football's expensive, the junior program, until you get to middle school where it's free. And I think that's part of the problem well, we see it in Andover. It's expensive to put these kids on a team.
Yeah,
and
any sport. I mean, you talk volleyball or basketball or
we
football.
didn't have that
boy.
growing up. If you wanted to play, you played.
Yep.
So did your son play football growing up, 4th grade, or?
No, when we moved back to Andover, he would have been in 5th grade. So I guess he played his 5th grade year. Luke's got all the physical ability in the world. I just don't think he likes it. You know, he's big, he's strong, but I mean, he's a young sophomore. He just turned 15, and he's playing varsity tennis for Andover, and he's doing really well. So
they have great tennis there, I think, right?
Yeah, I think Andover's won state 5 or 6 years in a row. Tennis.
Chris was telling me that.
Yeah. So that's what he does, and he likes it. And man, I'm happy for him. But gosh dang, I'd really like to see him put the pads on Friday night.
Yeah. What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2000.
2000.
Yeah. So you mentioned Ryan Colin was a senior when I was a junior. He was a year ahead of me that class.
Okay. Any popular classmates of yours that I might know?
Oh, I mean, around here, like Kelly Simon, he was an all-state lineman, does the football broadcasts with me. John Schwartz, was in my class, Shrine Bowl, lieutenant colonel, or about as high up as you. I'm probably going to misspeak his official rank in the Air Force, but he does very important things, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, he went on to play at Air Force. He was probably the most successful athlete out of the class, he was the senior athlete of the year that year, and.
Shoot, one thing I remember growing up just in Pratt, we were always good at football. My class was, 3rd grade, we kind of stunk because you played with the 4th graders. I don't think we won a game, but since 4th grade on, shoot, we had 2 or 3 losses, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Even in middle school, so it wasn't just a me thing. There was
Right.
a bunch
That's
of
right.
dudes
And you
on my
see
team
those
that were
waves,
studs.
you'll see towns who have those classes, those little pockets of athletes where you're like, boy, that class that's a 6th grader now, they're going to be fun to watch when they get up to high school, and it's fun to see in those smaller towns. They always kind of ride that wave of, we're down a little bit this year, but, once those 7th graders get up to high school, they're going to be, or something like that. And, it's fun to see.
Those guys that won state the year after I left, I knew that class was loaded. Like Tyler.
I think they had 21 seniors on that team.
Yeah.
And that's a lot for
I think we had 7 my senior year. But,
yeah.
I mean, Tyler Teasing was on that team, and Tony Swantek and Craig Carlson and Todd Bone. It was just, it was a great
McIntyre
class.
for Oliveris and,
Yep.
there was a ton of them. Yeah.
Yeah, the senior thing's important because we had like 16, I think, my
Yeah.
senior year. And then the junior year when we lost before playoffs, we had 3, I think.
Yeah,
So,
it's big. I mean, when you see a team coming into the start of the season, it's like, how many seniors do they got? It's a pretty good gauge. And how many sophomores are they starting? That's usually a loss.
Yeah.
how many,
Coach Anderson used to say, every sophomore I started, I consider it one loss. Because he didn't very many.
No, he didn't.
I think that's even true in college. I mean, Indiana had like a ton of 6-year starters.
Yeah.
The kids
They
that
were
been
all
here
older
my
kids.
age.
Yep.
So.
Yep. All right, boys. It was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap it up and appreciate
Best of luck
you guys
this season.
hopping in, and thanks for everybody tuning in. Greenback Greats had them at the table today. So, till next time.
See ya.
See ya.